Hello, everybody. Oh, hello, everybody. And this is Doc here for Doc taking on the Moorish or Mormish. Let me doing a test here, making sure things are working like they should be. I do apologize. This is the first time, our first stream, so we are working on our format and stuff. But today, what we're doing is we're going to talk a little bit about the Moorish Lien. This is the thing that you hear all the time from Moors. They really enjoy doing this thing called a lien. And what this does is, or what they think it does, is it goes and puts a financial burden on the person, the company, the property, that they're going to get some money out of it. Usually, what happens is they go after very large companies or corporations or government entities, police departments, and they turn around and say, "Well, I'm going to lien you." Okay. And so I have a lien here. This is from, take the paper clips off here. This is from a case that had happened in Maryland back in, it looks from what I'm looking at, back in 2020. And so they have this certified copy here that was sent to the Maryland Department of Assets and Taxation and Business Services. So it's quite interesting. What I will do is in the future, I will upload these documents ahead of time. I'll put them out on a folder and share the link. So they did get it. You know, this is the official seal from that State Department there. It's a 28-page document. This is like their cover sheet. And they're filing it under UCC 1 is what they're filing it under. And through here, there are several of these, excuse me, of these UCC filing statements. And there's several of them. They're listed out to different people. This one covers quite a few different people. And again, I'll upload it. But the person here that is the secured party's name, they always think they're the secured party, is Butler L. is the individual surname. First name is Lamont, and then Maurice is his additional name. So it's probably Lamont, Maurice Butler -L. They add these titles of L and Al and Bay to their name, thinking it gives them nobility. It actually gives them nothing. So again, another one of those little add-on things they like to do. And so there's several of these that are filed. Same person across the spectrum on here, different people that are called out. They call out a court. You know, they're calling out individuals' names, and so there's quite a few people that in this particular one. And what I want to get to is I want to read you the wording on how this happens. And what's really funny is the first thing they do is they write like a notice. Like they're going to send a letter and they're going to say, well, I'm putting you on notice that if you don't do this, what I tell you to do, this fictitious thing, my next thing is to file a lien against you. And in their minds as well, they think they are the judge and the court, and they think they have all these powers, and they don't. That's really what the sad part in all this is. They think they have this power, but they really don't. So there is a state of Maryland statement on the last page of this, of all these UC1 filings, and it's from the county of Montgomery to wit, and it says, I hereby certify that the foregoing is a full, true, and correct copy of. Okay. Now they're not verifying or endorsing this fictitious republic or government that they try to set up. But basically what it says here is, I certify that the foregoing is a full, true and correct copy of the Moorish National Republic federal government, which does not exist. So you will not see this at all. It is a fictitious government. A lot of the people that are part of this fictitious government have huge criminal backgrounds, and they are just they think they're getting one over, and they're not. And so it says affidavit of fact, writ of error, international document entered August 11th, 2020, Moorish National Republic federal government memorandum of trust, international document entered November 12th, 2020, Morocco Consular Court at the Maryland State Republic. Now, there is no such thing as the Morocco Consular Court. There is none. Again, another fictitious, made up entity, name, whatever you want to call it. It's made up. And what's funny is this falls along the same lines as Anna Von Wright and her soft sits, the United States nationals that are out there. This falls within the same thing. So it goes on. It says at the Maryland State Republic. Well, the state of Maryland is not a republic. It is a state. They like to call every state a republic, and that's not true. In their mind, they think every state is a country. Wrong. That's not how it works. And then they have writ of possession, international document entered November 12th, 2020, and Moroccan National Republic federal government default judgment. So there it is. We're going to read that part, the default judgment, how they think they're entitled to this money, and they are making the default judgment. Again, fictitious court, fictitious titles, fictitious government entities. I mean, if you do some true research and you go out and you research that Moroccan consular court, it doesn't exist. Now, the Embassy of Morocco in Washington, D.C. does have what's called a consular service. So basically, if you're a Moroccan national here in the United States visiting or whatever, and you get in trouble, you can contact consular services and they will help you navigate the legal fields of here in the U.S. Because even though you're from Morocco and you live in Morocco and you're a Moroccan national, that's what you are, you still abide by the laws. Now, that is where when they discuss, and we'll talk about this later, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. That's the whole point of that as well, is that if I'm over there as an American citizen and I'm over in Morocco and I break one of their laws, well, I'm held accountable to that country's laws. That's general knowledge when you go to a different country. Just because you're an American citizen, it doesn't allow you to escape those laws. Okay. So again, we'll talk about it. And it says judgment international document entered November 12th, 2020. I don't care what you put on a document. It does not make it international. Just because you say international or put international in the title, it's not an international document. You know where a lot of those documents go? Right in the trash. The only reason why this particular document is even out there is because it was part of a much larger court case, an actual court case. This is that really horrible word salad, paper terrorism that these fake people with a fake title want to try and convey. They don't hold any power. The country of Morocco don't know who these people are. It's guaranteed these people have never traveled to Morocco. They probably don't even know who the prime minister is or the current standing king or the royal family or the president of Morocco. They probably have no idea. So anyways, it goes on to say, number 123483-C, truly taken and copied from the record of proceedings in the Circuit Court of Montgomery County, Maryland, in the foregoing case. So as you can see, like I said, this was an actual case. Note, they make a RISE seal authenticates each document herein. So that is the state seal of Maryland that is on this document. And it says, in testimony whereof I have hereunto subscribed my name and affixed the seal of the Circuit Court of Montgomery. And then it has the county clerk's name. Now, this is just saying that those documents they filed are true copies. That's all that says. It doesn't grant any lien. It doesn't grant any money. It doesn't put anything on anybody's account. Okay. So that's the last page of all those. So here we have, this is the Moroccan Consular Court at the Maryland State Republic. Again, fictitious, made up. If you go to this site, it's called enforcetheconstitution.org, default judgment liens. you will see nothing but these types of documents. I'm going to guarantee you right now, if you were to reach out to one of these people, not one of them have collected any money. And I guarantee you the people that they're trying to get the money from probably saw this, showed it to their legal team or their lawyer and said, yeah, no. And that's what happened. So I'm going to guarantee that they got no money from this. So we'll go through, and basically what it is, it's a copy of the court case. Okay. So down the left side, it just says Lamont Maurice, excuse me, Butler L. Okay. He has no nobility. You could trace his lineage back, guarantee you are not going to find any nobility in his lineage. Here's the other thing they like to put: Aboriginal, Moorish American national. There is no such thing as a Moorish American national. Moor, okay? I'll give you a little history lesson on Moor. I also posted this. If you go out to my website, Docs Taking on the Moormish on Facebook, and I'll post that in here as well in the descriptions, you will see that the word Moor was actually a word used by the European Christians in Africa to describe the Muslim faith or Muslims of the Islamic faith. Now, the true way it was spelled was not M-O-O-R. It was M-O-R-O. And in the Philippines, the Muslims that live there are still known by and called Moors, M-O-R-O-S, not M-O-O-R-S. So there's a big difference there. Also, the prophet that they followed, Drew Ali, or Noble Drew Ali, or El Drew Ali. Again, he attached that title of L at the beginning of his name to put noble. Well, he is not noble. He has no lineage to any royalty anywhere in the world. None. He was actually born right here in the United States. So he is a United States citizen, has always been a United States citizen. Now, his teaching, the way the story goes with him is that they say he followed one of the lost books of the Quran, which was known as the Circle 7 Quran. And along with that, his teachings came from the Quran, the Holy Bible. There was another gentleman, Gary something or Grace something. Again, I found that information today. It's actually posted out there on my Facebook page. But then his own ideology. So it was kind of all wrapped up into what he took stuff from the Quran, he took stuff from the Bible and his ideology and somebody else's ideology. And that's where his teachings came from. So they're in of itself. They're not aborigines. None of them are. Another little bit of a history lesson is what we here in the United States would call Native Americans actually migrated across the Great Land Bridge between 15,000 and 20,000 years ago. There's actual proof of this. They migrated from Asia over the Great Land Bridge, Asia and Russia, over to the landmass that we now call the United States of America. Yes, they were native to this land when the Europeans showed up. So that's why we call them Native Americans. However, none of these people that say they're Aborigines, none of these people that use the title Moorish or Moor, the wrong spelling of the word Moor, have any lineage, again, back to them. That's the other thing that a lot is lost in all this translation. There is more. Okay, again, it's a title. It's a sect of religion. It's like in Christianity. We have the Catholic sect, we have the Lutheran sect, we have Episcopalia, we have Baptist, Methodist. Those are all sects or sections of the Christian faith. They all believe a little something different. They follow the main concept, but they have kind of like their own little twist on it. So that's the same thing with this group. So again, no such thing as a Moorish American national. They're born. These people are born here in the United States. None of them, absolutely none of them, renounce their citizenship properly. And what I mean by that, if you go to the State Department, they actually have step-by-step forms you have to fill out to renounce your U.S. citizenship. The funny thing about this group is they want all the rights and privileges of the U.S. Constitution, and what our government has to offer. However, they think they don't have to follow any of the laws and rules of our Constitution because they don't recognize our country, don't recognize the Constitution, but they want all the rights and privileges. Funny thing is they're United States citizens. None of them have renounced their U.S. citizenship. And when you bring it to their attention, you get the response back, well, why do I have to ask permission for something that I already am? Well, you're not. You were born here in the U.S., and we have what's called birthright citizenship. So if you're born here in the United States, you're a U.S. citizen. And then the state you live in makes you a state citizen or a state national because you live in that state. When we get older, we have IDs and driver's licenses, but you're a resident of the state. You're on that state census. That's where you live because your parents oversee you. So they mark you and say, yes, this child's mine, and they live here. So you're already a state citizen, and you're a United States citizen. It's an amazing concept, but it's one of the great things that we have. So again, let's go in to read this, and you'll hear this. It's just it's things that you read and you go, huh? You really want to go and research it. And so an Aboriginal Moorish American national, which he is none of. He is an American citizen, so he is an American national because he lives here in the United States. And rightful heir of Magla Horbid Al Assad Morocco at North America. Okay, so what they like to say is that the land of the United States of America belongs to Morocco, is the Moroccan Empire. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? That's not true either. The Moroccan Empire is no longer. The country of Morocco is there. They do have a royal family of sorts. They have an elected president. We have a really good bond with that country, a really good friendship. And so they pull this and they keep saying, but they have no proof. If you tell them and say, show me the proof that you own this land, that the Moroccan country owns this land, you can't. They can't. What they say is, oh, there was this letter given to George Washington or this letter that was written to this person, but none of that stuff actually exists. They can't prove any of it. They just go off of what they've heard and seen by others before them and believe it because there are some really good brainwashers out there in this group. And so they follow this without a cause, even though there are hundreds of thousands of videos online debunking this very thing. By Jewis Sanguius in full life and proper persona, sua juris, authorized rep, ex-rel, Lamont Maurice Butler. So they think that name is a straw man. They believe the same thing that soft stits do. There is no such thing. Your name in all caps does not mean a corporation. What it does mean, your name in caps, is it calls attention. It means a person of importance or a title of importance. That's why that your name on like your social security card or a marriage license is in capital letters. It calls out that person's name. It doesn't call it a straw man. It doesn't call out any of that. And again, another one of those fake beliefs because they follow the same script that soft sits do. They've just put a different change on it. And then they go care of P.O. Box. He lists out this complaint judgment creditor is what he says he is. And then on here, it says versus Deborah Lynn Doyer, foreign Occidental European female. So again, they like pulling out these titles because they think we don't belong here. Okay. They say we're squatting on their land. Well, guess what? It's not your land because companies and people own that land. They call associate administrative clerk. I mean, they call it quite a bit. And so down the right side of this document, it says RE case number 1233483C and related case number 122514C in the records of the Circuit Court for Montgomery County. Default judgment, that's what they're going to put. International document, it's not an international document. When you look at this document, it looks like every other court filing document that you would see that after a case or the documents leading up to a court case that you see. Calls it down, splits it down the side, lists the parties, everything going on, and then it starts. Okay. And then this is where they start with their counselor BS. Consular jurisdiction and venue established under the treaty law per Article 20 and 21 of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship of 1836. I'm going to tell you right now, this does not set up any jurisdiction. That treaty, just to give you a quick history lesson, deals with ships, maritime trading, ship traffic, and ports. That's it. It does not deal with default judgments. It does not deal with traffic law. It does not deal with anything other than that. Even the fact that that treaty has been enforced for eons, because yes, it's still enforced today. There is anywhere in that treaty that it states that a citizen from Morocco they can break whatever law they want, not get in trouble. So, and they get our constitutional rights. Nowhere in there does it say that. They like to think it does. Again, word salad. Somebody told them, somebody else or a group of somebody's, the wrong determination and definition of this. You can actually, Yale Law has a really great project they did, preserving these documents and explaining them with legalese as well. And down the actual document, down the left side, in each article, it states exactly what it's meant for and what it's doing. Nowhere in there does it say that a consular jurisdiction just comes in and takes over. That's not how it works. They like to think it works that way, but that's not how it works. So, and then it says, and per Article 3, Section 2, and Article 5, Clause 2 of the Constitution of the United States of North America. It's the Constitution of the United States of America. They like throwing that in there because, yes, there were drafts of our Constitution before the actual official one got signed. So they like picking parts of it. And that is a very big Moor thing, or this group's. I mean, they're not Moors. They're not Moorish. They like to cherry pick things to fit their narrative. So down the backside, they list out, just to give you an idea, when I'm talking about this, they list out everybody because they think what they're hoping will happen is one of these people will get scared. And when they get scared, they'll turn around and they'll be like, oh my God, we got to do something. We got to fix this. But that's not how it's going to happen at all. So they call out another administrative clerk. They call it the circuit court clerk. There's actually 2 or 3 of those. And those are all in the circuit court. Then they go down and they start calling out the state attorney, assistant state attorney. Then they go down further. They call out a police officer, and they like to call them armed highway private corporate commercial mercenaries. That's not what they are. Again, this is them, word salad, words of intimidation, words that they think have meaning and strength to scare somebody. But we all know they don't, because we know this stuff doesn't work. So they called a couple different police officers in this. They actually call out, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And they also like to call them 14th Amendment stateless people. Because they think you're a 14th Amendment citizen and you have no rights and you don't belong to a state. Again, more of that BS word salad that really makes you want to take this and throw it in the garbage. They call out quite a bit of police officers, calling them either private, corporate, commercial mercenaries, or calling them 14th Amendment statement. So we get to the back of it, and then they finally call out the director of the courts. They have some unknown non-party occupants that they call third-party interlopers. It's just, you read it and you want to smack these people. So, and they always put this in, which again means nothing. This is the default judgment right here. This is this person who thinks he has or she has this power, thinks this is actually going to work. And so the very first thing is they always like to say, notice to agent is notice to principal, notice to principal is notice to agent. That means absolutely zip, zilch, nothing. Okay. And it says in In the colorable conclusion action and void proceeding of case number 1234883 Charlie and related case number 122514 Charlie, in the records of the foreign private de facto corporate entity named Circuit Court for Montgomery County. Again, they like using the word fictitious. They like using corporate, foreign. This is a soft sit playbook. It literally, I believe, Anna Van Ritt had this playbook ready to go and needed another group for people to worry about and be concerned about. And she goes, "Hey, why don't you look at this pretend group called the Moors and here, follow this. Just change some of the wording, make it more religious than soft sits." And that's pretty much what they do. I mean, if you look at a lien from a soft sit versus this, it's pretty much the same, and they're fictitious lawsuits. And so it goes in there, subsidiary of the foreign private de facto corporate entities named State of Maryland and United States. They like to put ink at everything because they think the United States is a corporation. And related case number 5 Delta 00284471 in the records of the foreign private de facto corporate entity named District Court of Montgomery County. They love doing that. And then again, they throw in all those names that they named out. They go through here saying that subjects under plausible 14th Amendment U.S. corporate citizenship clause by Jewish Soya, having been duly served with processes at their corporate mailing address, either direct or by through their principal, clerk, attorney, agent, sign the affidavit of fact, notice of default judgment, entered in case. So what they did was all those people they named, they sent these letters to. They either sent them or they emailed them. Okay. So they think that's being served and that's notice. You've been put on notice. And in those notices, it usually says, hey, we're going to do this unless you do this. And you have 3, 5, 7. I've seen, 7 days, 10 days, 5 days, 3 days, whatever they feel like. Wow. And most legitimate people that they're sending these to literally take that, give it to their legal department. And their legal department probably turns around and goes, doop, we're not going to respond to it because there's no merit. They're not legal documents. None of them are. They hold no water. These people hold no power to effectively do any of this. And so they go in there and they say, notice of default judgment entered in the case number, and they call out the case and the affidavit of fact of the invoice charge sheet entered in the case, which was the 122514 Charlie on May 13th of 2013. Another affidavit of fact of the final notice of default judgment, which will be Exhibit 2. So they will follow a little bit of a process. And that was filed, from what I'm seeing here, that was filed back on June 4th of 2019. So we're getting a little bit more current here. And the unknown authorized representatives of the private foreign entity name 7013 Natalie Woods LLC, which I'm guessing is a probably not really a legal firm, but it could be. Could be a lawyer. And so again, they list out, they call them third-party interlopers. And they said they have been served with process at their mailing address along with the judgment debitors at their corporate mailing address, the affidavit of fact, adverse claim of title, and revision of ancestral state. So basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to steal a house, saying that the land and the house belong to me and you just need to give it to me because I'm telling you, my people way back whenever, this is their land, you took it from them, and I am claiming it. That's what Moors do. That's what these group of individuals like to do. These are true squatters, B&E squatters. There's plenty of videos of showing this group of people breaking into houses, and what they'll do is they'll change the locks on the doors. Then they'll film a video and say, "Oh, look, we got our keys." Well, you're not showing me the fact that you broke in and then changed the door locks out. So of course you've got the keys. You put brand new door handles on. So, so it says entered in case number 1234 83 Charlie on June 11th, 2020. So we're getting really close here. I'm very interested. I think I might go out to this court and request these documents, like, so I can see them. And there being no answer, because nobody is going to answer this. Like I said, there's no power to these. There's no legitimacy to these documents. It's word salad. The ink that they use to print this is actually worth more than their time and effort of trying to recoup these costs. And I'm going to read out what they think these costs are, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And so it says, let's see, and there being no answer or cause to the contrary, and such records standing as conclusive proof of the judgment debtors being presently indebted to the complainant. And again, that's that Lamont Maurice Butler. Again, he put that dash EL for L. They think they have titles of nobility. They don't. Herein judgment creditor and aborigines indigenous. There's that other word, indigenous. They think they are indigenous, and they're not. It has been debunked over and over and over again. These people are not indigenous to this country, to this land. They have no ties back to the Native Americans or the first people that migrated over into this country from the Great Land Bridge 15, 20,000 years ago. They have no lineage to that at all. They think they do, but they don't. Moorish American, again, religious sect. That's not a nationality. They like to say it's a nationality. They like to say Moor is a nationality. It's not. It's a religious sect. As I do more research on this, I'm finding more and more proof that that whole portion of being called a Moor is no different than a Christian being called a Catholic, because they follow the Catholic sect of Christianity, or a Lutheran or an evangelical. That's the whole point of Moor. It grants them nothing other than, hey, you're that section of Islam is what you follow. And a sovereign national heir of Morocco. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, Morocco has no idea who these people are, the country of Morocco. And guaranteeing you, he has no relation to that royal family, to that sovereign royal family. I guarantee you he has none. None of these people do. They like to think they do, but they don't. And then he lists out that name at Northwest Amexa. They like to call the United States Northwest Amexa. What's funny is if you go back, this has been debunked as well, and they were talking about Africa and Amexa and not over here in the United States. And I'll have to find that link again. Really interesting read. But again, that is completely false as well. They have no claim to this land. So it goes right here, and it says, by Jus Sanguinis, it is therefore considered, ordered, and adjudged that a judgment by default be and the same is hereby entered against the judgment debtors. So this again is this person and his buddies or friends or whatever who wrote this up. And they think they have some power, but they don't. And it says, it is further ordered and adjudged that the judgment creditor shall recover from the judgment debtors the judgment as follows. Okay. Now this is where it gets funny. So it says the immediate dismissal with prejudice of case 1234883C and any other attachments associated therefore for lack of jurisdiction and fraud. One, there is not a lack of jurisdiction. They love to challenge jurisdiction. They think if they do that, they're going to get out of the case. It's going to get dismissed. However, the judges are like, I overrule your motion for to rule on jurisdiction, and we're going to preserve that for you when you want to go and appeal your case to the next court. And that's what a lot of them do. They don't even waste their time. And fraud. There is no fraud at all. So here's what they say the damages are. Kidnapping. So if you're arrested and you play by this group's rules and terminologies, you're kidnapped. Well, that's not true either. They're asking for $1.6 million. Human trafficking, which was $0. $1.6 million. Hostage holding. What that is them being placed in jail where they belong. $1.6 million. Unlawful imprisonment. That's them being in jail as well. $50 million. Yeah. Denationalization. Your U.S. citizenship was never stripped from you. So you're still a U.S. national. You are never a Moor. That's a religious title. That's a religious sect, not a nationality. Just to clarify that, people that live in Morocco are Moroccan. Okay, they're not Moor. They're Moroccan. Moor is a religious title for a section of the Islamic faith. That's all it is. It's not a nationality at all. These people do not understand nationality. They think nationality is wherever your forefathers were born. And that's what you are. Well, if that's the case, in my nationality, you can track that all the way back to some of the high leaders of the Roman Empire in Italy. So you're telling me then by that, my nationality all the time is Italian, even though I was born here in the United States. That's incorrect. That's my heritage. Okay. My heritage is my lineage. Okay. That's also part of my culture. However, my nationality is a United States citizen, the United States of America. Why? Because I was born here. I'm a U.S. national. I'm already a U.S. national because I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm also a state citizen because of the state I live in. See how easy that is? Very simple. So they were never denationalized. They like to claim that. All right. And let's see. They have a whole list of them here. Deprivation of rights under color of law, which didn't happen. Conspiracy against rights, that didn't happen. See, those are USC codes. I think that's 240 and 241. They love using those all the time. However, conspiracy is me and a group of people planning to, hey, you know what? We're gonna strip him of his rights. We're gonna do something to take his right of whatever away. That never happened. This person broke the law, plain and simple. And deprivation of rights under color of law. I'm not a lawyer. I would have to do more research to get the exact meaning of that. But again, they like calling that slander because they don't call them Bay or El. They go by their legal name, their birth name that was given to them by their parents when they were born. Altering records, again, their name. Involuntary servitude, which isn't there. Ponage, and the involuntary servitude, which is slavery, and ponage, they're trying to get 20 mil for that. Extortion, 1.6. Burglary and robbery, one is 10 mil, one is 5 mil. Assault and battery, that goes back to that being arrested. Stalking, coercion. They like to use coercion because they think when a law enforcement officer gives them a lawful order, they think it's a threat. So they do that as well. They put in here this breach of treaty and constitutional obligations. There is no breach of treaty because the treaty doesn't even apply to them and what they're doing. There is no treason. They try to call that one out. And then they try to throw a consular court cost of 20 grand in there. So the total is $194,420,000. And what they wanted is they wanted in 0.999 fine gold bullion coins or bars. Now I'm going to tell you right now, when this was filed, and I'll know on the back sheet when I get to it, I guarantee you they didn't get any of this. None of this money was ever paid to them. Nobody has any gold coins or bars on this group. This guy is still sitting just as penniless as he was before, more likely living off the government, living in government-assisted housing. And then it goes on, and it says, it is further ordered and adjudged that a judgment lien. Okay, here's the lien. This is the part where they want to start liening things to get their money. And it says, a lien be and the same is hereby entered against the oath of office, surety bonds, and the property and asset of the judgment debtors jointly and their spouse, their heirs, successors, and assigned. So what they think they're going to do is they're going to go out there and they're going to put this lien on these people for this money. Okay. That's not how a lien works, because a judge has to order a lien. And my best way of putting this is a general contractor who goes in, does work, and say he got half up front, but the final payment was done on completion. He completed the job. It was inspected. All is good. he doesn't get his final payment. His next thing to do is to file a lien against that property to get his money. However, he has to take that to court. He has to take that to court and have the judge say, yes, effective immediately, this judgment is a lien against this property for the amount of this, unless he gets paid. Just stating it in your crappy fictitious paperwork isn't going to get it signed by a judge or anything along those lines. So what they put in there is, okay, assign, including but not limited to any and all automobiles, boats, aircrafts, real estate, real property, here entitlements, personal property, common property, community property, intellectual property, corporate property, intercorporal property, bank accounts, future earnings, wages, pensions, in order to secure performance and payment of this judgment and to levy upon such property and assets for the satisfaction of this judgment if payment cannot be made. So they think they're just going to go out there and take all the people's property to get this fund. However, it's never going to happen. There has not been a successful, quote unquote, Moorish lien ever. In the 20 years that this has been a mainstream thing, 20, probably 30 years, that this has been a mainstream thing, not one, not a Soft-Sit one, not this, not a Moorish one, quote unquote Moorish one, has this ever worked. They like to think it does, but it doesn't. And then it goes on and says, it is further ordered in a judge that the judgment debtors forfeit all of their rights and property to the judgment creditor under the organic 13th Amendment, Section 12 of the Constitution. They like to use for the United States of North America, but again, it's the Constitution of the United States of America, not for. They like to use that, pen that in there because they think, again, they're getting some sort of special something, and they're not. And this judgment may be levied upon 30 days from this court date or this entry date in case 123-483C, unless it is shown in the record that the settlement was made between the judgment debtors and the judgment creditors. So 30 days from when this was entered in, which I believe it said June of 2020, so that would make it July. Guaranteeing you, none of this got paid. Okay, we're going to get into where it gets even crazier. It is further ordered and adjudged that judgment for possession of the ancestral estate. Here you go. This is the one right here. This is where this person has, where I believe this individual, Mr. Lamont, broke in and squatted in this property. I believe that's what took place. I'm going to get the court case because I really want to read it, and I'll let you guys know as well. But it says the estate in reversion known as 7013 Natalie Woods Lane, Bethesda, Maryland, and more fully described in the Affidavit of Fact, Adverse Claim of Title, and Reversion of Ancestral Estate. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to quit claim this property and say, well, it's mine, because I'm saying that I'm indigenous and aboriginous to the land, and I'm the heir, which there's no proof of. You need to give me your house and the land that it's on. It's mine. It belongs to me, so I'm going to take it. Is granted to the judgment creditor in allodomium as rightful heir and absolute owner possessing aboriginal title by Jus Sanguinis and the treaty right to inherit. The treaty gives no power to do this. Again, that treaty, I'm going to do a whole video discussing that treaty. The Treaty of Peace and Friendship that they keep bringing up has nothing to do with this at all. Nothing. They think it does. I don't know how they got brainwashed to believe this, but it doesn't. If they can prove to me how it does without trying to BS their way through it, please share them this video. Let's have a dialogue about it, because you can't. I have a true copy. I can get a true copy from the Library of Congress with what each article is talking about. Again, does not pertain to this. There is nothing. Also, you are not Aboriginal and you hold no title at all. No lineage, no royal lineage at all. I went back and I have another video this Friday where I'm talking about a kingdom where this pretty much all started from. It's called the Kingdom of Numai. And they have another one as Nubaidiyah. And it's a kingdom. It's an ancient kingdom, a Barber kingdom from back in, I guess if you want to call it early BC. So from this kingdom was around from 202 BC to 46 BC. It was fought between the East and West kingdoms, and it was also a Roman province at one time. And at the end of this territory, that was the kingdom of Nudiah. It was then ran by the Romans. And Constantine the Great, when he was emperor, brought the country together, and it's actually where modern day Constantine is, the city, because that was named after him for what he did. He brought that country back together. Again, no lineage, none whatsoever at all. Okay. That country where it was, that kingdom where it was, is now modern day Algeria, Tanzania. There's like one or two other countries too that fit in there, but nothing about this anywhere. So again, he has no right, no treaty right, no nothing to inherit anything. Again, no proof, no actual proof to the land. And then they go on in further order and a judge that a writ of possession shall be forthwith issued to the sheriff from Montgomery County, Maryland, upon payment of proper cost therewith, and the sheriff's office shall forthwith, just more word salad here, execute the writ of possession in accordance with their treaty obligations under Article 20, which there are none. Again, I'm going to post the treaty with the explanation off to the left so you can see what each section, again, has nothing to do with possession of homes. It's a maritime trade treaty between, at the time, the Empire of Morocco, which was out in West Africa, and the United States. That's it. It has nothing to do with any of this, and it grants nothing to them. Which aver the following. Article 20. If any of the citizens of the United States or any person under their protection shall have any disputes with each other, the council shall decide between the parties. Now, what it is it's based on what country you're in. If you're in the United States at a port dealing with a Moroccan vessel, at that time, the U.S. Consular Service can come out and provide a mediator. Same thing in Morocco. If a U.S. ship comes into a Moroccan port and there's an issue, they can call the Moroccan Consular Service and they can have that discussion and mediate the discussion. Nowhere in there does it state anything is going to be given. They reworded it to fit what they wanted. To continue with it, it says, shall have any disputes with each other, the council should decide between the parties. And whenever the council shall require any aid or assistance from any of the governments, from either the U.S. government or the Moroccan government, not these fake Moors, they have nothing, to enforce his decision, it shall be immediately granted to him. Again, dealing with maritime trade and ports. Not somebody's house. That doesn't work. That's not how that treaty works. Again, very wrong. I'll even take, Desiree Turi Light Bay, the head lady that leads this cult. I will go toe-to-toe with you on that treaty. I have read that thing so many times. I have researched each article. It means none. They modified the wording of Article 20 to fit how they want it. Again, cherry picking. Moors and sovereign cits, they're great at this. They can cherry pick anything to make it fit their narrative. And it says at the bottom of that, there shall be no cause for the sheriff office to delay in executing the writ of possession. Well, there is, because your writ of possession holds no power. And then it says, in accordance with the full faith and credit clause of the Constitution of the United States. I'm going to fix that because I'm going to keep saying it the right way because, again, they spell horribly. They misspell titles and things to fit their narrative. But the full faith and credit clause of the Constitution of the United States of America, Article 4, Section 4, this judgment and the writ of possession are considered to be documented for or domesticated for enforcement in the Maryland state from the entity date in case number 1234883 Charlie in the records. Well, that'd be great if your documents held legal weight. They hold none. They hold no legal weight, none at all, none, which I think is great. That's the greatest thing about this is they are known as paper terrorists. Them and soft sits. That's their bread and butter. Is they literally are nothing more than paper terrorists. They just shove the court full of paperwork because they think if they keep filing this affidavit and this writ and this whatever and that whatever over here, they think what's going to happen is the judge is going to say, well, you know what? We're just going to dismiss the case. That's not going to happen. These judges nowadays, I think they're starting to look forward to this because they're like, let's see. Let's run them through the ringer for a bit. So it comes down and it says done and ordered. Again, they call out this fictitious country name. And then the affidavit says, I declare and affirm by virtue of divine law under the Zodiac Constitution, which, again, is fake, holds no weight here in the United States of America at all. It's not our Constitution. It's not our governing documents for our country and the citizens of the United States. It is some of the weirdest stuff I have ever read. And again, I'll do a video on the Zodiac Constitution as well. I think as you start to tune into more of my videos and you hear these documents and just the craziness that's in them, and you start seeing things like the Zodiac Constitution and just see how out in the middle of left field it truly is, you start to piece together. Just you wonder if each one of these people ran into a wall head first and they suffer from long-term memory loss. So it goes on to say the Zodiac Constitution and the United States Republic Constitution. No, that's not our Constitution. We don't go by that Constitution. See, they like to call out old documents that we no longer use. Yes, we keep them for historical purposes, research. We can show progression in our Constitution and how things work, how things have changed, but we don't go by them anymore. We don't use them anymore. They're not our founding document. They're not our status document, the one that we go off of every day and talk about. That Constitution, the Republic Constitution, holds no weight, no water. Okay? And upon the honor of my foremothers and forefathers, that the foregoing default judgment and affidavit is true and correct. So basically what happens is Lamont Maurice L., he calls himself, so here's what's funny. This guy believes he is a judicial officer, and he is the Consular General, okay, of the Moroccan Consular Court at the Maryland State Republic. For one, there is no such thing as the Moroccan Consular Court at the Maryland State Republic because Maryland is not a republic, it's a state, and the Consular Court doesn't exist for this guy. It doesn't. You look up the definition of a Consular Court, completely different and what it does and how it works than this. He then goes, what's really funny is it keeps going on. He goes, the bottom part is authorized rep in relation to Lamont Marcial Butler, all rights reserved. And he then does a P.O. box with the Washington State. And then he says District of Columbia Republic. The District of Columbia is not a republic. That's not true either. Then he puts non-domestic, non-resident, non-subject, non-citizen. You are a citizen. Here's what I say to all of them. Show me actual proof you renounced your U.S. citizenship. You can't. You claim you're a Moorish citizen, but you have no proof of that either. Just some documents that you have in red ink and put your thumbprint on and scribbled some stuff on it that is so misspelled nobody can read it. How? How did you change your nationality. You didn't move out of the country. You didn't move to Morocco. You know how hard it is to become a Moroccan citizen? They are very picky. I thought England was picky. The Kingdom of Morocco, they are very picky on who they let become Moroccan citizens and actual true Moroccan nationals. It's not just come in, fill out paperwork, and here you go. That's not how it works. All right. So Mr. Lamont here, Mr. Butler, never lost or renounced his U.S. citizenship the correct legal way. He did it thinking, I'll just change my name. And that's what they do too. They change their name thinking they're going to get away from the creditors and stuff. But guess what, guys? Creditors are so much smarter than that. They know when you make these little name changes. They follow that stuff. When they run a background check, it pulls every possible alias of who you are. They will track you down. Trust me. So they go ahead and he puts his little Moroccan seal on here. And it says he lists his cited authorities, the consular jurisdiction and venue under Article 20 and 21 of the Peace and Friendship. That's their go-to document. Everything is around that Peace and Friendship Treaty, but none of them understand it. None of them do. They've been told what it means by someone else who was probably told what it means until they got to the point, that very first person who misinterpreted what it meant, and he just passed it down the line. And then he calls the treaty right to inherit under Act 22. There is no right to inherit under Article 22 of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. There is none. I can guarantee you that. And what I'm going to do is there's actually the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. It's an older document. And I know you're probably like, what is he doing? There we go. So there is several people or several sites. And there's a site called foundersarchive.gov in the Moroccan American Treaty of Peace and Friendship. And I'm going to read to you exactly what Article 20 says, because I think it needs reading. And it says it pretty much is the thing. But what it does state is the way it's also understood is that if there's any issues, and what it says is, if any of the citizens of the United States or any person under their protection shall have any disputes with each other, the consul shall decide between the parties, and whenever the consul shall require any aid or assistance from our government to enforce his decisions, it shall be immediately granted to him. Then in 21 says, if a citizen of the United States shall kill or wound a Moor, okay? And again, it does say Moroccan in the actual treaty. Or on the contrary, if a Moroccan shall kill or wound a citizen of the United States, the law of the country shall take place, and equal justice shall be rendered, the consul assisting at the trial. And if any delinquent shall make his escape, the consul shall not be answerable for him in any manner whatsoever. That is 21. That pretty much says, again, like I said before, if you hurt somebody or you break a law, you're going to get under equal justice. That's what's going to happen. And if I escape, the consul of Morocco is not going to be answerable in any manner. It's not his fault that I escaped. Now, in 22, it says that if an American citizen shall die in the country of Morocco, and no will shall appear, the consul shall take possession of his effects, and if there shall be no counsel, the effects shall be deposited in the hands of some person worthy of trust, until the party shall appear who has a right to demand them. But if the heir to the person deceased be present, the property shall be delivered to him without interruption. And if a will shall appear, the property shall descend agreeable to that will as soon as the council shall declare the validity thereof. Nowhere does that state anything about giving property. So this gentleman, Mr. Butler, is not showing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste Article 22 into the chat so you guys can see it. But this is Article 22. Oh, too many words. So basically what Article 22 is stating is if I was to die over in Morocco as a U.S. citizen, they're going to hold my possessions until a will arrives and tells them what to do with it, or a representative of my estate goes over there with that will or documentation stating, yes, I'm responsible for Mr. Goss's estate. His possessions need to be released to me. Here's the paperwork. The consul in that state would verify that by calling back to the United States to verify. We would come with letters probably saying, yes, this person, we verify that this person is that person who they say they are, kind of thing. It would be verified. Once it's verified, all the possessions go to that person in the same right. However, Mr. Butler never showed a will, never showed proof that he owned the property or the land at that address. None. So he doesn't inherit anything. That the treaty doesn't say he gets to just take it because it talks about inheriting. So calling out the right to inherit under that treaty and under Article 22, well, that doesn't do anything for him. They like to call out the supremacy clause under Article 6, Clause 2 of the Constitution. Again, that holds no weight in this at all. They'll call out the diversity of nationality case under Article 3, Section 2. Again, that holds no weight at all. The forfeiture clause under Organic Amendment 13, Section 12, that holds no right. Now, this is where they start cherry-picking court cases. They call out Kovar versus Oregon. And then it says a state cannot refuse to give foreign nationals their treaty rights because of fear that valid international agreement may possibly not work completely to the satisfaction of the state authorities. Well, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship does nothing for you anyways. So the state of Maryland is under no obligation. So again, there's no harm, no foul. Under the Supremacy Clause of the United States Constitution, Article 6, Clause 2, state policies as to the rights of aliens to inherit must give way to overriding federal treaties and conflicting arrangements. That is true. However, as we read in Section 22 or Article 22 of that treaty, you have to have proof. You have to have a document. So your own treaty just slapped you in the face. It said, where's your paperwork? You guys claim you want paperwork for everything. Where's your paperwork? Where is the will or the document that we can verify that says that property is yours? You have none. So again, their own treaty they like to call to just slapped this dude in the head. And then they call out another Christmas versus Russell. A judgment or record shall have the same faith, credit, conclusive effect and obligatory force in other states as it has by law or usage in the state from where taken. Okay, that has nothing to do with this case at all. Again, they like citing and cherry picking case law, but it'd be good if the case law actually pertained to their case. So far, that case does nothing. Then he pulls out First National Bank versus Terry, full faith and credit, clause of consent, U.S. Article 4, subsection 1 requires that foreign judgment be given such faith and credit as it had by law or usage of state of its origin. Okay, but again, there's nothing to give you. There's no judgment to give you. You haven't shown any proof. You typed up a bunch of mumbo jumbo and called yourself a consular general, and you're not. The country of Morocco does not recognize you as a consular general. You just took a title. I can call myself emperor of the world. Doesn't mean I'm the emperor of the world, but I can call myself whatever I want. Doesn't mean there's any weight behind it. So again, that's a moot point. He then calls out Sanach versus Family Finance Corp. The ability to place a lien upon a man's property such as to temporarily deprive him of its beneficial use without any judicial determination or probable cause dates back not only to medieval England, but also to Roman times. Okay. No one said you couldn't file it. I'm just saying you have no weight. It has no legality. And any judge worth his salt can read that and say, okay, I'm not going to sign it. It's not legal without a judge's signature. Go ahead. You can file it all you want. But I'm not going to put my signature onto it. I'm not going to ruin my career and make it look like I'm an ass in front of everybody. All right. So now we get to the affidavit of fact for certificate of service. And basically what this is just saying that, yeah, these were delivered. And the clerk signs it. But again, it's another one of these shitty ass Moorish fake paperwork word salad. It says, I, Lamont Maurice L, hereby certify that on this 12th day of November 2020, the enclosed affidavit of fact. So we went from June to November. That's how long it took to file that. Okay. So 5 months. It took him 5 months. I think what he was trying to do is like, ooh, the holidays. Let me see if I can scare him. Didn't work. Okay. The enclosed affidavit of fact, default judgment, was sent via certified mail to the following recipients. Barbara H. Melajon puts the address there, and then again the state attorney, the authorized representatives of the estate at that street address, and then the unknown non-party occupants. So basically what happened is this guy was trying to take somebody's house. I'm guaranteeing you it was a house up for sale. And the Natalie Woods LLC is the real estate agent. And the address is the house that was for sale because he doesn't know who the owners are of the house. So what happened was he sent a letter to that address. But again, without their names on it, how are you going to serve them? You don't know who lives there. And again, it looks like this Natalie Woods LLC, and I'll do some more research on this. I think this might end up being a little bit of a video series. I'm guaranteeing you that is a real estate agent. Most independent real estate agents are LLCs, limited liability corporations, so they don't get blamed for anything, or they protect their personal assets. So I truly believe that that's what that is. It's the real estate agent and the homeowners. And this guy tried to squat in a house. So I am going to actually be asking for these cases. I'm going to reach out and see what it costs for me to get them, because I'm interested in it. So he sends this to the Maryland Secretary of State. He sends it to the State Attorney General, to the United States Attorney General. He also sends it to the United States Secretary of State. He sends it to the UN High Commission for Human Rights, known as the Hague. He sends it to the director of Interpol, which, again, I'm sure this guy got this and went, doop, probably got a good laugh out of it. He then sent it to Washington embassies and consulates of the international community, and all aforesaid parties named in the judgment is who he sent this to. So what happens is on this document, it then states, it says, to it may concern, I, Barbara M., and this was the county clerk or the circuit court clerk, certifies that John McCarthy was appointed state attorney of the circuit court and took the oath of office on January 2019. So what they were looking for was this is his oath. You always hear him talk about their oath. His oath of office. Did you take an oath of office to, the Constitution and blah, 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 blah. In testimony whereof I have hereunto set my hand and affixed the circuit court seal, verifying that that was true. And again, she listed as such. And then there's this state of Maryland Montgomery Circuit Court, and basically this is his oath of office. So they do take these, and it says it's his name. I, John McCarthy, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States, and that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland and support the Constitution and laws, therefore, and that I will, to my best of my skill and judgment, diligently and faithfully, without perjury and prejudice, execute the office of state attorneys. This does nothing. Yes, he took an oath of office. Awesome. And they actually have it physically documented. So that's good. And it just says, it shows his signature according to the Constitution and laws of the state. So not only does he have to uphold the Constitution of the state of Maryland, but he also has to enforce all the laws of the state. His name's on here. He signs it. Sworn to the subscribed before me, clerk of the Circuit Court, Montgomery County, Rockville, Maryland, 8th day of January, 2019. With that as well, I'm just trying to keep my papers in order here. There's another one by Deborah DeWong. She is the judge of the Circuit Court. And then it states that, and that I will not directly or indirectly receive the profits of any part of the profits of any other office during the term of my acting as judge. And she signed this. This was 3rd December, looks like 2019 as well. And that's that. I mean, as you can see, and this was just, the default judgment. Okay, this is one document that, this group, you can't call them what they want to be called because they're not. Well, maybe they are. Now that we understand that Moors, Moros, is a religious sect of Islamic faith. Again, just like a Lutheran is of the Christian faith or a Catholic. These born-again Moors, they are not Moroccan nationals. They're not Moorish nationals. There is no such thing as that. They're not Moorish Americans. They are U.S. citizens. None of them, to my knowledge, have properly legally renounced their U.S. citizenship. As you can see just in this, they want the benefits of the Constitution, and they want the laws to work for them, but not against them. That's soft sits. I mean, it's the same way, sovereign citizens. So there are other documents that I had printed out. There is a affidavit regarding financial statement under international treaty law. And it just says that, again, he calls out the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. He calls out a couple different articles of that. A certification letter dated January from Visor Charles Arnell Smith Bay. Again, and they use a country that they have no ties to whatsoever, of the Moroccan Consular Court at the Maryland State Republic. Well, no, Morocco does not have a consular court in the state of Maryland. And this guy is definitely not part of it. And we'll do some research on him. I think it'd be interesting to fit the dots or fill in the blanks of all these people. And again, if you go back, there's a P.O. box. This gentleman lives in Washington, D.C., the guy who filed the suit. And this is all public knowledge. This isn't like I did a background check on him and sharing this information with you. But again, this particular document was verified by this Moorish counselor, whoever he is, on the 20th of February of 2021. So last year. So this is even more current. They get these fake seals. They get them custom made, or they order them from one of their Moorish websites. This guy who signed this, who calls him, again, a consulate general of Morocco, is not. Again, he's impersonating a person of a foreign government, and that's a federal offense. I mean, there's several USC 18 codes that I just got done putting together a package for the state of Chicago or the state of Illinois due to this very, very thing. And again, here we got a guy that is saying he's a consul visitor, which I think is another title for a judicial officer. But then he says he's a consulate general. I can tell you right now that I bet if I went to the Moroccan embassy page and looked at their staff, nowhere on there is this guy listed. He then goes, there's a certificate of service here that, again, on February 20th of 2021, an affidavit regarding financial statement and attached exhibits A1 and A2, and a certification letter dated January 25th, 2021 from Visitor Charles Arnell Smith Bay. So probably what this guy's name is Charles Arnell Smith is probably what this guy's name is. I think this Visitor is a title, which could mean judge. And then the Bay part, again, that fake nobility title they like to claim. There's also a copy of the certification letter dated December 10th, 2020 from clerk, and a copy of and file stamp default judgment was sent via United States Postmaster certified mail to the following recipients. He calls them out of who he listed here. Then he shows Exhibit A, which is actually interesting. Dear identified party, commercial law article subsection 9, 105, TAC 1, a noted code of Maryland provides as follows: a person may not cause to be filed or recorded under this title a financial statement that the person knows is 1, a false, 2, not authorized to be filed or recorded under this title, or 3, not related to a valid existing or potential commercial or financial transaction. So again, these are those fake liens, those fake financial transactions. And we'll go over this, and then we'll call it a day. And so he calls himself the secured party, and he calls Deborah Doyle the debtor, who, from what I read, is a judge. And then he circles it in red, and he writes evidence of misrepresentation, fictitious name, and non-de jure and false identity and denationalization. Well, no, that's your legal name. That's the name you were born with, not the name that you added a title to think that you're above the law. So that is there. Again, we go back to that fee schedule that he listed out, all these exuberant amounts of money that he thought he was going to get, and he'll never see. And there is no misrepresentation. This is who he is. That's his legal name, not the Bay, not whatever you changed it to. You didn't legally change it. You have what a judge would have said in this is say, do you have legal paperwork that you legally changed your name? Yes or no? He would have went on his soft-set Moorish explanation, but in all reality, no, he doesn't. He just added a name somewhere. It says a person identified above as a debtor believes that the aforereferenced financial statement has been filed or recorded in violation of the above provision and has submitted an affidavit stating the factual basis of the person's belief. So he attempted to file this lien against this judge, and this judge says enough's enough. I know the law. I'm going to hit you with it. It says the Maryland State Department of Assessment and Taxation, the department has reason to believe that the aforereferenced financial statement has been filed or recorded in violation of the above provision. So what this guy was trying to do, and this is their favorite thing to do, is file a FOIL request to get this information to, well, you're all public. When it comes to judges and police officers, all that stuff needs to be private because this is making them targets. So this got caught. Because she's a judge, it probably flagged it. And again, this is when this came about. The financial statement may be terminated by the department unless within 45 days after the notice date appears above, You submit to this office an affidavit that states your belief that the financial statement does not violate the above provision and provides the factual basis for that belief. Enclosed is the affidavit form for your convenience. If you do not make the necessary submission within 45 days of the date of this notice, and the department reasonably believes that the financial statement has or was filed in violation of the law, it will be terminated. If you make the necessary submission, your affidavit will receive due consideration and you will receive a final notice of the department's termination. Estat UCC division. He circles it again and puts evidence of there being no identifiable natural person. No, they just told you what department it came from. State Department of Assessment and Taxation, comma, UCC division. All you need to do is Google that. There's no evidence of anything. But he thinks there is in his mind. That, again, all these false teachings. And then it says enclose the affidavit form, notice sent by certified mail, return receipt requested, and by first-class mail to secure party, debtor, submitter, if applicable. So this went to everybody. Now, they sent this, okay? And again, this guy thinks he's smart, and he's really not. He keeps following that soft sit mentality. So in the top it says State of Maryland, Department of Assessment and Taxation, Business Services and Financial Division, room, and it gives the address. He then circles that and puts evidence of there being no identifiable natural person. So are you looking for the department head? Because all you need to do, again, is Google that. That's how simple this is. Google is your friend when it comes to stuff like this. So we'll go across this document. So in the middle, he has his address, but then he circles it, puts it in and says evidence of misrepresentation, fictitious name, non-de jure, and false identity and denationalization. No, this is your legal name. That is the address you gave. They're not going to use your fictitious way of writing an address or writing your name. They're going to go by your legal birthright given name. That's how it works. They've already identified you. They know who you are. You did not legally change your name to add Bay to it at all. So until that goes through the system, you're this. That's on your birth certificate. Okay? Well, then he circles the postage stamp. And he puts evidence of improper service of process. No. That is a proper service of process. That's actually the postage stamp that when they run their mail through their neat little postage system or that machine, that's what goes on it. We all see this. As you can see, this is how crazy those people are. So what he tried to do was use this to get out of, again, to try to call those claims for his lien, which is ridiculous. Now, there's one more exhibit I want to get to here before I call it a night. And I know first video a little long. I do apologize. Watch it in strides. You know, some people can only take so much of me. You know, the awesome pictures up behind you. You know, hey, good to go. So in this next one here, this is the consular jurisdiction and venue. So somehow he thinks he's setting up the jurisdiction and the venue. This guy is the accused. He's the defendant in this case. He is now all of a sudden became the Consular General of Morocco without no proof. And that's not how that works. All right. So he goes in right away. Lamont Maurice Butler L, that fake title of nobility. Consular General, which he is not. Consulate General of Morocco. You're not. Morocco has no idea who you are. He has his actual P.O. box address. They don't like using their home address, so they use a P.O. box. So, and for all we know, it's a friend's P.O. box, or a bunch of them got together and got a P.O. box. Who knows? He calls out the plaintiff, being Maurice G. Jones, a stateless person, subject male under the plausible 14th Amendment. Not true. This guy is the chief of police. That's who he is. And they list out that. Down the right side again, they got the case number 200051000 Montgomery County Police Department. And they have this thing called a writ of Q warranto. It's a warrant. Or attempting for him. Calls it an international document. It's not. And again, they call it the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, blah, 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 because that's all they know how to do. Photoshop is your friend. You know, they got all these pretty things up top and a two-set stamp with their red thumbprint and a line through it, which I have no idea what that means. So this was filed back in February. It was e-filed. It's funny that it says e-filed February 9, 2021, Morocco Consular Court at the Maryland State Republic. So I'm going to try to find this court, this Consular Court in Maryland. Really interested to know where this is at, because it doesn't exist. He also calls out a few other people. Again, an administrative clerk, calls out the state attorney. And then he calls out Google. I think this is the one. Yeah, this is the weird one where Google, his email account was actually, they got a warrant to seize his email account and all the emails in his email account. So quite interesting here for that to take place. And then they called an affidavit of fact, writ a quo warranto. Notice, okay, that crap. Come now, I, Lamont Maurice Butler L., being of legal age and being duly affirmed according to the law, hereby execute this warrant as an object to the release of information related to my Google account, enforce the Constitution at gmail.com. So yes, they sent a warrant. That's how deep this got. They got a warrant by a judge to request access to his email account and all his emails. So basically what they did was went to Google and said, look, from the conception of this email account, we want every single email that was sent and received and every attachment. We want it all. Guess what, guys? Even though you delete those emails in your Google inbox, they have server backups of it. They have backups. They have to. Legally, they have to archive that stuff. So they list the person, Sandra Pucci, the third party, or by his agent and or sign, and to inquire into the color of authority and jurisdiction. And he calls out the police department and the state attorney's office. In support there, I assert the following. He goes, plaintiff, his name, he goes on about where he is with his fake crap, and he says that he has right of blood, which is not true. There is no lineage traced back to these people. And he says, I am the elected consular general of the Consulate General of Morocco. So somebody somehow, some way elected this guy. And I think he elected himself. Let's see here. I am properly identified by my Aldelian National Identification Card, which again is a fake ID. It is not recognized anywhere in this country, even in Morocco. There's plenty of videos to debunk that as well, which is registered under the certification number AA222141 Class A with the Zodiac Constitution in the Library of Congress Copyright Office at Washington, D.C., and the United States Department of Justice. I'm going to tell you right now, his ID card is not on file at the Library of Congress. And I will even put dollars to donuts when I go to verify this tomorrow, because they have people online which you can chat with, and I can tell them what I'm looking for. And all they got to do is say, no, this does not exist. I could reach out to the United States Department of Justice on this as well if I want. probably have to hit a local office here in my home state, and they would probably tell me the same thing. He says the defendant is the judge or the police department, the chief of police, along with this guy. This guy is interesting. This is the first time I've seen a police department go after an email account. So he just calls out and says religious corporation established under the unconstitutional 14th Amendment corporate citizenship clause and is entirely separate from the de jure Maryland State Republic or Republican government sanctioned under Article 4, Section 4. Again, he just starts calling out BS again. Calls out another defendant, which is the state attorneys or the county clerk. He then calls out the judge or the state attorney. I mean, this guy. So what he does is he then calls out the third party, which is this Sandra Puicha, which I'm probably saying her name wrong. She's probably from Indian. I do apologize. Or maybe from India. I do apologize. In a stateless person subject, male under the unconstitutional 14th Amendment. This guy, if he's in India, is not under our constitutional law. So that right there is thrown out the door. And it says corporate citizenship clause and a resident of California having a mailing address, which is 1600 Amphitheater Parkway, Mountain View, California, which if anybody does any research on that, that's Google's address. Okay. Third party is also an employee contractor acting as chief executive officer. So he's the CEO of Google Inc. All that other crap is just them trying to make it sound good. He then has a jurisdiction and venue. Jurisdiction in this case is based on diversity of nationality in consular jurisdiction, which it is not. He then goes on to say, I'm an Aboriginal, Indigenous, Moorish American national, which he is not. He's not part of, they're not part of the Moroccan Empire. Just bunches of falsehood. Again, these are templates. They make a few changes to fit what they need to, and they print it off. He then goes on to say that he is classified as a foreign national, which he is not. As that term is used for the purpose of consular notification and the instruction in the United States State Department of State Consular Notification and Access Manual, 5th edition. I've read that manual. No, it doesn't. To be a consular and be on United States soil, you have to be part of your country's embassy. You don't just get to be a consular. Guess what? He does not exist on the consular services for the Embassy of Morocco here in Washington, D.C. He does not exist. So far, all of this is false. The third party that he calls out is a U.S. corporate citizen under, again, he goes down to saying, he says the Morocco Consular Court at the Maryland State Republic has competent jurisdiction, which it does not. Proper venue to hear and decide the case under consular jurisdiction. It does not. The authority of Article 20 and 21 of that peace treaty does not give him anything. Neither does Article 3, Section 2, or Article 4 of our Constitution. That does not give him anything as well. He then goes on with the statement of facts. This is on Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021. He received an email from the third party by and through his agent. Okay, he just goes on and rambles with a bunch of terms that Google sent him an email in referencing this case being sent from an undisclosed employee, which is fine. That's how they do that. They protect their employees that way. I think that's great. And they were requested by subpoena, not a contract, but they were subpoenaed. They got a warrant to subpoena these emails and get these emails. And so his email address, which is enforcetheconstitution@gmail.gov, which contained my private and personal information. So what if it did? You were probably committing felonies through your email. So at that point, the police department, along with the district attorney, the prosecutor, were probably trying to get every bit of evidence they could for their case, which in this part, they're allowed to do. So on Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021 at 8:37 p.m., he sent an email response to the third party by and through their agent requesting for the alleged legal process to be forwarded to me for a full disclosure purpose. That following Monday, He received another email response, which asserted that the copy of the alleged legal process was attached to the email. The attachment was a one-page, unsigned, misrepresented instrument, said search and seizure warrant in Montgomery County, Maryland. That's all they need. I'm guaranteeing the warrant was signed. I'm waiting to see if there's a copy in here, but I guarantee you that warrant was signed by that judge. Not only was it emailed, but then it probably was express mailed to the district attorney in that area as well. So they are well aware of what was going on. And so dated January 26, 2021, with the type name on the signature line of the defendant or of Kevin Hessler. Some of the information on the instrument was blacked out. However, I was never given proper service or process of any physical written proof of a valid and verifiable, and here we go, Fourth Amendment search and seizure warrant being signed and issued by an actual Article 3 court of a competent jurisdiction for the search and seizure of the information related to the Google email account. Here's the funny thing. If you read the fine print, the Google email accounts, they have every right to do whatever they want with that email account. You have no privacy in that email account when it comes to Google on the other side of it. You have none. And they have signed documents and agreements with law enforcement, with government agencies, that if a warrant is processed and sent to them, they will act on that warrant and fulfill the request of that warrant. So again, you're using somebody else's platform, so they have full control, full rights to do whatever they want with that. It's kind of like if you go to Disney and you take a really good picture of the Magic Kingdom castle and you post it on your Facebook page. Guess what? Facebook can take that picture and Disney can say, we really like this picture, we want to use it. They don't have to tell me anything. Facebook can take that picture, give it to Disney, and Disney can use it. Why? I took a picture of their property. I was on their property when I took the picture of their property. I posted it on Facebook, which is somebody else's property. And that's how that works. As soon as you post something online, it becomes public record, public knowledge. It's not hidden. Okay? So the reason why in a case like this too, they won't give a defendant and you see how he's trying to change things around. He is actually the defendant in this case. He has committed the crime. They don't want to tell him because they don't want to give a person a chance to get in and delete emails or remove emails or alter anything or warn other people that, hey, they're coming after me for my email. They're going to come after you next. They don't have to tell you when they acted on this. They could send the email to you 3 days after they do whatever, because guess what? Google backs up their servers all the time. So all they got to do is take a current copy of that server, of that account, and they have it. That's just how that works. Nor was I given proof of a written accusation being signed under oath or affirmation asserting probable cause of an alleged injury caused by me. Again, you don't have to cause an injury to commit a crime. Okay? Again, another one of those fallacies that this group and soft sits live by. They think there has to be an injured party. Well, guess what? The person that owned the property that you decided to jack, you hurt them. You destroyed their property. You caused property damage. So guess what? You did cause harm. End of story. All right. And then number 9 here, as it continues, he goes, the defendant and third party are hereby commanded. Okay. They think that, again, this comes back to that hitting the head really hard. They think they have some sort of authority. It has been proven over and over and over again. They have none. To produce the following as proof of jurisdiction and lawful authorization for the release of my private and personal information related to my Google email account. A certified copy of an alleged lawful search warrant signed and issued by an Article 3 court of competent jurisdiction with the attached written accusation in support being signed under oath or affirmation by an alleged injured party pursuant to the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution. No, that's not what the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution states. Again, nobody has to be injured for a crime to be committed. Nowhere. They like trying to use that. Oh, there has to be an injured party. This goes back to Black Law's Dictionary, second edition. That thing is over 100 years old. I think it's like 120 years old now. It holds no weight. The current edition is the 11th edition right now. If you want to start getting current with definitions and revamps that have taken over time, start at the 4th edition and work your way forward. That eliminates this BS. So they give days of grace to answer. They're giving them 7 days from the receipt of this affidavit of fact to answer and produce the above. Well, guess what? They don't have to. So they're not. In default, it says failure to answer and rebut the above information point by point on an affidavit signed under oath or affirmation constituents default and serves as a conclusive proof of the defendant's conspiracy to deprive me of my Fourth Amendment secured rights of privacy under color of law via the unsigned. That's not true. Again, you're using somebody else's platform for email. Now, if you developed your own platform for email and it was yours and nobody else's, and that happened, yes, they invaded your property. They invaded your privacy. But in this case, because you were using somebody else's property, platform, it's just how YouTube can censor videos if they want. Community standards are the same way. This is how they do this. Okay? This right here. They tell you in the fine print when you create that account, that's why you need to read what you're signing up for. They have full control of that account at any time. They can shut it off and lock it out. So what would have happened? You wouldn't have known. What if they just said lock his account? Don't let him in. We want to see what emails hit the account in the next, week. Don't. What then? You wouldn't have said anything because, again, Google has the right to do that whenever they want. They can freeze your account whenever they want. It's just like Facebook. They can put you in Facebook jail for a couple days or a month or 6 months or ban you for life. They can do that. It's their platform, not yours. You don't own it. That's the great thing about this. Excuse me. Okay. Which he says is invalid, unconstitutional, notwithstanding, null and void, ad initino, and unenforceable for lack of jurisdiction and fraud. So United States versus Throckmorton, which has nothing to do with this. He did cherry pick a quote out of that. It says fraud violates the most solemn contracts, documents, and even judgments. Okay. That has no bearing on this. And it's Morris versus Coddington. Fraud and deceit may arise from silence where there is a duty to speak the truth as well as from speaking the untruth. Okay. Has nothing to do with what just took place. Then on the back, it says done and ordered. Again, fictitious country name. He goes, I declare and affirm by virtue of divine law under the fake Zodiac Constitution. He calls out a non-binding constitution, the Republic one, and upon the honor of my forefathers and foremothers, that the foregoing writ of quo warranto and affidavit is true and correct. Well, it's not. It's not true and it's not correct. It's your interpretation. Again, he has his little L title there. Again, he calls out the fictitious name for the United States. Duly subscribed and affirmed on this day before me, Consular Vizar of the Consulate General of Morocco. Witness my official seal. And then again, there's that Charles Arnell Smith. Again, we're going to research him and find out more about him because it seems that guy likes to pop up a lot. He does, again, show the service. He has that signed. All the different people he sent it to. And that was Exhibit A and all of that word salad. And then, of course, is the email. So, yes, the email was included in this, which is actually pretty cool. And it says, Dear Google user, Google has received legal process issued by the Montgomery County Police Department compelling the release of information related to your Google account. The agency referred number or case number on the legal process is, and then he lists that 200051000. Unless we promptly receive a copy of a filed motion to squash, that is a filed stamp by a court competent jurisdiction, Google may proceed or provide responsive documents pursuant to the applicable law, such as the Electronic Communications Privacy Act, C 18 U.S.C. subsection 207. In most cases, the file stamp objection must be received by Google within 7 days of the date of this notification. He got this on February 3rd, okay? For more information, they list out how they can see how the legal process works. It says, Google is not in a position to provide you with legal advice or discuss the substance of the legal process. A copy of the legal process will be provided upon request. If you have any other questions regarding this matter, we encourage you to contact an attorney. Please note that we require an email statement sent from your account authorizing us to communicate with your attorney about your account. Reply directly to this email and any further communication regarding this matter. Any communication not sent as a direct reply to this email must contain the subject line, Attention Google Legal Investigations Support, reference the case identifier number, and be sent to usernotice@google.com in order to ensure the appropriate routing process. And that came from their legal investigative services. He then did send the email back about 3 hours later. And it says, please forward to me the legal process and reference, which shall include a copy of the alleged lawful search and seizure or seizure warrant, with authorizes you to release any information released to my Google account. Otherwise, to give any third party access to my private personal information without my free consent or a lawful search warrant would be a violation of my right of privacy, which secured under the Fourth Amendment. Also, I am an Aboriginal and Indigenous Moorish American national. He then turns around and says he's a foreign national of the United States, which he's not. He brings up the treaty again, which holds no bearing. Nothing of the consular notification goes into this. He goes, I have a file stamp copy of the objection response forward to you from our consular court, which is a court of competent jurisdiction. However, I would need the legal process information. So basically what's happening is he's emailing that to his or from him, probably using another email address. And so this is the other exhibit, the search and seizure warrant, which is signed by the district court judge. A lot of them use digital signatures now just because it makes it easy, because they are digital. As long as his signature, which is the legal signature of him, is on this document, it doesn't matter if it's handwritten, computer written, whatever. It's coming from him, because what they do is when they process this, they turn around and he does it from his computer. So it's actually stamped in another way. So it shows everything from the beginning of, yes, this judge created this, and, you know, he applies his signature to it. It's pretty much a filled form. So basically what it states is, and some of the stuff is redacted, which makes sense. And it says, to blank or any officer of the Montgomery County Department of Police, based upon the application of blank, consisting of 5 pages dated January 26, 21, which is incorporated herein and made part of hereof by reference, I find there exists probable cause to authorize a search and seizure as follows. Within the next 15 days, you or any officer of the Montgomery County Department of Police are commanded with the necessary and proper assistance to search the account database utilized by Google, and it lists the address 1600 Amphitheater Parkway, Mountain View, California, and collect the following evidence. All available information regarding the Google email account for the Enforce the Constitution at Gmail, to include all user basic subscribed information, user neoprint, user photo print, group contact information, timeline information, private messages, and IP logs. The search shall be for the evidence of the crimes of, I do not see it, but I'm guessing it's for the the B&E to that house. And then it says commercial law, annotate code of Maryland, that evidence being accountant database is utilized by Google. All available information regarding the Google Gmail account, blank, blank, blank. And he calls it out again. You may serve this warrant at any time in the day or night. Within 10 days of serving this warrant, a written report of execution of warrant, including an inventory of property, shall be prepared and returned to me. I am going to do a request for this case. I am very interested on what they found in his case. I'm also going to request a copy of the search and seizure warrant, well, without the pieces redacted, if that's possible. I would like to see what the crimes are for. And I'm thinking what this was is he did not want the crimes to be seen, so they redacted it and uploaded it. But I am going to request that because I am quite interested. I mean, there is a lot in this that is very interesting, and this just gives you a taste. I know we've been online now for almost 2 hours, and I do apologize. Just this, when you really get into it, you start to see just how in depth they're willing to go, and how willing they are to push the envelope with this type of stuff. And it does. It gets the curiosity running, and it's not a curiosity because, oh, I want to do this myself. It's curiosity of like, oh my God, you really attempted this? And so you want to know more. So my next step in this, I didn't think this was going to be this interesting. I was actually just wanting to talk about the lien process, and we're going to get into this a little bit more. We're going to start filling in the process. This is going to be a continued series on these fake Moorish lawsuits, and I think as we go further, this playlist will probably be titled Lamont Butler, Maurice Butler L. Case file. And what we'll do is we'll just keep working this because it's very interesting. And like I said, we went on for almost 2 hours. It's our first video. I do apologize for running a little later than I thought. I'm hoping you can hear me because I'm looking at my mic and I'm only seeing 1 dot, 2 dots at times. So I am hoping my mic is working. You are more than likely probably getting my what am I thinking here? You're probably getting the camera audio. So what I'm going to have to do is go in and make sure that we have the right stuff working. It does show that I am using my correct microphone, so that is good. So that's good. I'll hope you guys can hear me. And like I said, thanks a lot. Like, subscribe, share. Please ask questions. Comments are open. I'm not going to block any comments out. If there are any quote unquote Moorish individuals that want to comment on this, please do. I'm always about having an open dialogue, but the time you get disrespectful, well, that's the time I kick you and say, "Asala, bye-bye. We're done." But again, hey, this is Doc for taking on the Moorish. I appreciate everybody that watches this video after we get it posted. Thanks a lot. And remember, Friday at 9:30, we are going to discuss this ancient kingdom of Numai or Nubaida. And we are going to talk about a group, and this is probably going to be another playlist. This is a group that goes very deep. These individuals have self-titled themselves king and queen of this kingdom that no longer exists. There's no lineage for it. There's no sort of anything. They claim they're in exile. However, the UN keeps a very nice publicly accessed list of leaders and heads of state that are in exile. These people are nowhere mentioned. None of their heads of state, neither are them. And it's going to be interesting. That video is coming up. That video, we go live on that again, 9:30 on Friday night. So again, I appreciate it, guys. This is Doc taking on the Moorish. Take care. Have a great night. And hey, like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell too, because that'll let you know when our newest videos come. Thanks a lot, everybody. Doc out.